Mrs. Adler pushed us into the shallow water until the waves lapped at the hem of her shorts, then hopped into the boat and began to paddle, propelling us past sandbars thick with bright green sawgrass and cattails, heading out to where the marsh gave way to the rippling dark blue sea. The sun sparkled off the water. Wavelets like little hands patted the metal sides of the canoe. Val scooted until she was sitting in front of me, then leaned her back against my knees. Mrs. Adler steered us toward a sandbar, and when the prow of the canoe nosed the sand, she hopped out and pulled the boat onto the shore. "Come on, Addie," said Val. We knelt down, and Val showed me how to look for bubbles, and when I'd found some, how to dig with the rake, then slide my fingers sideways until I felt the edge of a clamshell. It took us a few minutes to get started, and then Val squealed as she pulled her first clam out of the sand. "Here," she called. "There's tons of them." I hurried over and knelt beside her, her bony shoulders against my round tan one as we worked our hands down into the sand, me in my blue one-piece, Valerie in a red and pink striped bikini that kept riding up over her flat chest and drooping down her skinny hips. We dug out fistfuls of clams, laughing as they squirted us, and tossing them into the mesh bucket we'd left standing in the water. The sun climbed higher in the sky. We filled the first bucket and started in on the second, taking breaks to suck at our fingertips, which were laced with tiny cuts from the clamshells. Every few minutes, Valerie would pause to stand up and peer at the shore. "What's wrong?" I asked, after the third or fourth time. "You need a permit to take out clams," she said. "Do we have one?" "I don't know." She shook her head. "I don't think so. Probably not." "I've still got some money," I told Val. "We'll just say we came all the way from Illinois and we didn't know the rules." This earned me a thin smile before Val plopped back down and started digging again. When the second bucket was full, Val and I lay side by side at the edge of the shore and let the incoming tide push the water over our toes, then our knees, then our hips, our waists, our chests, until finally we were floating, our hair waving in the current, hips and hands bumping as the waves lifted us up and let us down, until Mrs. Adler pushed the canoe into the water and told us it was time to go. We clambered back into the boat and paddled to shore. The buckets of clams floated beside us, tied to the canoe with Mrs. Adler's bandana, our hair drying, salt-stiff, against our bug-bitten shoulders. I held my breath as we approached the beach, worried that there would be trouble, that the family whose canoe we'd taken would be there, that our clams would be confiscated, that we'd get arrested. The parking lot was full, but the shore was empty, quiet except for the sound of waves and the gulls. We helped Mrs. Adler wrestle the canoe back onto the struts and watched as she wrapped the clam buckets in the paper grocery bags and set them in the car's back seat. I can remember how my nose was itchy with sunburn, the way my fingernails were ragged and torn, how my thighs were dotted with bug bites. I can remember stopping at convenience stores off the highway, buying cigarettes and tab and black coffee for Mrs. Adler, Sprite for Val, and juice for me, garbage bags and 10-pound bags of ice for the clams. We made it back home late Monday afternoon after spending another night in a rest stop. My mother took one look at me and shooed me into the bathtub, pinching my dirty clothes between her fingertips before depositing them in the hamper. She made me soak, then scrubbed my nails with a brush she'd extracted from the depths of a vanity drawer and washed my hair twice. After Mrs. Adler's repeated assurance that the clams could not possibly have gone bad, my mother opened her joy of cooking and made us linguine with clam sauce with white wine and lots of garlic, flecked with fresh parsley, served with salad and crusty French bread. I remember the six of us, me and my parents and my brother, Valerie and her mom, gathered around our kitchen table, devouring plate after plate of pasta, soaking crusts of bread with the garlic and wine sauce. I remember the feeling of floating in the water with my best friend beside me, underneath that beautiful sky. It was the best time of my life.